Greetings, everyone. I'm excited to welcome Ricardo, co-founder at BetterPic. Ricardo, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you already. And I
Yeah.
had to do my greetings from my CFO because he's following your content already. So you must be doing something good.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I always love hearing from other CFOs. So that's great to hear. And I know I caught you travel. Normally, you're not in San Francisco, but you're here, and maybe we could talk about that. But let's kick this off. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, my background is quite versatile. Let's put it that way. I think, it's kind of started entrepreneurship, the real entrepreneurship, I would say around 11 years ago. I started a coffee bar. I started launching cocktail boxes online. I rented out furnitures to students. I did a marketing agency, sold a marketing agency. Then I did quite a little bit of everything, I would say. Like I said, I don't have a particular good skill. I just have just want to do stuff skill, I would say. So a little bit versatile, I would say.
Oh, that's interesting. So obviously, yeah, that entrepreneur gene in you and wanting to do your own thing. So tell me, before we dive into some stuff, I'm curious, I love good coffee, but a coffee bar, like what's harder, running a tech business or like an in-person, like retail service business, like a coffee bar?
Ooh, good question. I think, I got that one. I have to say, I got that one from Sam Altman, and we were discussing it yesterday. It's like, it's almost as hard to run a very difficult business as of running just a normal business. Like, you still need a website, you still need to recruit people, you still need to, get your metrics straight. So I have to say it's quite the same. It's just different metrics and, different go-to-market, maybe different people. And I feel this might be a little bit easier for the simple reason that we're trying to solve something very, very difficult, and really good people are attracted to really difficult problems. So I would almost say, oh, this one is easier, to be honest, but I would have to do the first, like the coffee bar first to get to this level of
Yeah.
operations, I would say.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, great experience. Well, yeah, I love that diverse the background and running different businesses and jumping into tech. So yeah, let's talk about your current project, your current endeavor, BetterPic. Tell us what products and or services BetterPic offers.
It's a very simple thing. So if I explain it to my mother, she's like, yeah, she does something with pictures. I'm like, okay, fine, fair enough. I'll take that. But, we just transform your random selfies that living on your phone into professional photo shoot. That's basically what we do. And we do that with AI. Of course, 2025, back in the days, you had to, go to a photo shoot, get a photographer, do the makeup, take 3 different clothing. Nowadays, you don't really have to anymore. You can just do it from the comfort of your couch for $35.
I love that. Yeah, so easy to understand. And I tried one of those headshot generators. Probably it's been a while, and it was a little, little iffy. And, made me look a little weird. So I'm gonna have to. I'm actually in the due for a headshot, so I'm gonna have to try better pick. So tell us, okay, so turn those selfies into professional headshots. And are you going after? Is this a kind of a B2C going after professionals, a B2C play? Tell us a little bit about your target market.
Yeah, so our go-to-market is a little bit what we call the land and expand motion, like Asana or Slack. If you talk about it from a go-to-market perspective, we target consumers first because technically, if you type in AI headshots, you don't really know if it's a B2B or B2C. So we're really going after the consumer market. And then we identify who from the consumer market might be a fit for a B2B solution. So we work with brands like some really well-known brands that use our solution, but they all came through the consumer application first, and then we identify them, and then from there we upsell them into the B2B solution.
Okay, yeah, because B2C pretty straightforward. Seems like, yeah, going after all those individuals need that headshot. So tell us a little bit more about how you transform this into a B2B play.
Yeah, so most people that come in, they try it on themselves. It's a little bit like, if you think about Asana, you're a guy in working for Deloitte, you need to have some project management tool. You're like, oh, let me just test it out. And you're like, oh, works nice. And then you kind of bring that into the team. We have kind of the same strategy. You come in, you as a SaaS CFO would come in and say, oh, I like this tool. Why don't I get this for my team? And then your team uses it. And then from a team, it kind of goes into the entire corporation. So we mostly come in with one person, then we expand it to 10 to 15, and then it goes to like, we've did all the way to like 10,000 people. But that takes time. You need some security measurements. It took us about sometimes 2 months to get through all the security questions. So, we've done quite some things, but it's from the beginning all the way to the end in that sense.
Yeah, interesting. So you get into a company and then they start using, and then it's like, hey, how about, whatever the company is, ABC company, then it's like, yeah, let me be your platform for all the headshots within the company then.
Exactly. And once you move up market, right, it's a very tricky one because then suddenly like compliance comes in. We have to get SOC 2 compliant for us, at least GDPR compliant. Like we're all that right now. But those are all the questions that comes up. Like I literally stare at like sometimes files of like 100, 200 questions, like, and you'll have to answer like, is this compliant? Yes, no. Like it's a very interesting process, I would say, moving up markets. But we started consumer based and then we moved into B2B.
Okay. All right. So B2C, then moving into B2P, which makes a ton of sense. And then, so what year did you found BetterPic?
So I bought the company for $1 in December 2023. So it's about 18-ish months actually now, maybe a little longer now. So that was when about 18 to 20 months ago is when I actually bought the company through a newsletter. So I passing by, I thought like, genius idea. Imagine if the technology actually works, this is the thing that everybody will need in the world. So I saw it passing by, I saw the potential. Then I met up with my co-founder Miguel, he was in Spain. I was in Spain. I was like, hey, let's drive 3 hours to each other, have some beer and see if we can actually work together. And from there, we're still, he's still the CTO of the company. We're still be working happily for 20 months in that sense.
Oh, that's great. So yeah, so interesting story. So you bought the company for $1. And what was the state of the business at that point? Was it just a little tech, a website that didn't work? Like, did you have like tell us what was the
The
status of
state was
yeah.
Yeah, the state was horrible. Like the some people called it a school project, which was technically also the case. Like it looks so bad, but there was potential, but it looked bad. Then I think the 22nd and 25th of December, I was like sitting down with my family, with my partner. My brother was also there. He's like, hey, you know what? Here's the news. Let's test it out all together. It took 15 minutes to onboard. To give you an idea, that's like 10 or like 1 minute right now. Like they went through the onboarding and then they got the results and was like, this is horrible. It's bad. And, I can't blame them because it was bad in that sense. But, it was doing about 1.5K per month. The solution was bad. The website was bad. Technically, everything was bad, but the potential was there. So, we took a bet to implement everything that I learned back in the days from marketing to product to making sure that, we can scale the solution in that sense.
Interesting. So it sounded like, yeah, they just wanted to get rid of it, even though maybe it was making a little bit of money, but they're just, hey, we're done. Take it. And it's yours.
Yeah, I mean, he was like Miguel is still there, right? So he started a company on his own, one person. And when you get to a level of 1.5K, it's just not enough to sustain yourself, but
Mhm.
you kind of need that cash to reinvest. And if you don't have that, you're stuck in the middle, right? So I said, like, look, let me buy it for $1. I will invest. It was back in the days, a minimum of 200K into the business, marketing resources, everything related in order to grow the business. And I promise you that whatever you want to buy for it, I think he was trying to sell it for like 20K. Whatever you're asking right now, I will make sure that your shares are worth a lot more in the coming year. And so that's kind of how we got to the agreement.
Yeah, interesting. Well, appreciate that background. So, yeah, talking about, kind of that bootstrapper's dilemma where you're just making some, but it's not enough to really get the business going. So let's talk about a little fundraising. How much capital have you raised to date?
So to date, so I put in a personal about 200K in that sense, but that was back in the days. And then recently we just raised about 2.5 million in USD. That coming from two investors. One is MOC Capital, the other one is Shilling VC. And then a bunch of what we call them strategic angels. We had a lot of interest, but we decided to take some of the more strategic angels to put into our cap table. One example would be we have a model agency that invested into her business because she wants to digitalize all of her models into the new venture that we're building. So, examples like that.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so 200K of your personal capital, then 2.5 million seed round. And then tell us, like you've got a lot of experience in different types of businesses. Did you know, like when you were getting into this business, it's something that you would have to raise money for, or was there something that led you a trigger milestone that said we should raise capital?
So funny enough, so I've always, it's very romanticized, right? In the world to raise capital. It's a very romantic view from the outside world. So I know nothing about raising capital. I've never done it in my entire life. So from an outside perspective, it's like, yeah, we definitely need to raise capital. So I actually flew to places, pitched everything, and think about it. This is like summer last year. And this summer last year, we were growing, we were doing like 10 to 20K per month. And then it grew to like 30K. So we were growing quite nicely. And I started pitching and, we are doing all these pitches and nobody wanted to invest into a headshot business. And the reason why is because we're not a recurring business. You need our solution once. That's about it. And then you kind of come back maybe next year or in 2 years, basically. So it's a very quote unquote unreliable business, even though we were growing every single month. And so I tried raising capital last year, completely failed. I also didn't know how to do it. Basically, I know how to pitch, just didn't know how to get the finance done. And then I think about 3 to 4 months ago, we said, okay, you know what? With the BetterPic solution, we will not be able to raise money, but we're building something new. We're building something for the fashion industry, which is much larger. It's much more recurring. There's much more potential in it. You can actually raise capital for that. So we took those combined options of what we've done at BetterPic and the new solution, we put that together, and that's basically what we raised capital for.
Okay. And tell me a little bit about the fashion play, because I saw that on your LinkedIn profile and we know, all right, headshots, businesses and people need headshots, but is there something else that you're, adding on to the product as far as the fashion industry?
Yeah, so we have BetterPic, which is the first solution we built, which is just AI headshots, and we're sticking to that core in that sense. And the second solution is using the exact same technology, building the realism in people to do fashion shoots for products e-commerces. So big brands from Belgium or all over the world, they use us to create, fashion shoots, which before they needed a model. Now we digitalize real models and you can use those to create your fashion shoots. So you don't actually have to ship a model anymore. You don't have to pay for a makeup artist, all of those things, basically. We saved them quite some money in that sense. And so that's the second solution that we're, taking a very big bet on. And that's also where we raised the capital for, because for BetterPic, we're profitable. We actually didn't need external capital to keep growing in that sense.
Okay, so the fashion side got investors decided to invest in the business, and then so you mentioned
Exactly.
you tried to raise, didn't work, and then did raise, and so for other founders who are in that position, never raised before, any lessons learned in that process that you'd like to share?
100%, I would say. So the first one I'm thinking about, just thinking out loud, would be sometimes you're just talking to the wrong person. I think very good lesson I learned. And especially for us, like we were B2C, we were then pitching B2B, but we didn't have a track record on B2B. So it was a very confusing business. They're like, are you B2C? Are you B2B? How is it working basically? So, and we noticed when we were pitching to investors, they just didn't get what we were doing. And so, but once we talked to the right investors, like, oh, of course, I understand what you're doing and the playbook that you're going after and trying to make all this combination between B2C and moving to B2B, like that I think was a very good lesson, like to talk to the right investors, but you want to first talk to the bad investors or like the ones that you don't really want, because that will help you craft your pitch a little bit better. So first it was like, we were talking to the investor that we didn't really want, but they would give us the feedback. We would understand what's wrong with the pitch and we were optimized. And then when we were talking with the right investors, our pitch was already optimized in that sense. So I think that was the first lesson I really learned. We had a very good, he's also now the CFO of the company. He had done fundraising before. We took one under our arm and say, you help us with the fundraising, help structures the conversations, what to say, what not to say. Like he was always in the background. It's like, Ricardo, this is how you should approach it. So definitely learn a lot from there. Would recommend as well to have somebody has done the process before, because it's like a little dance, right? So, nobody's interested until everybody's interested. And then suddenly like dominoes effects start to play around. So we had a lot of no's, and suddenly when we got one yes, everybody wanted to come in basically. So it's a very interesting process that we went to.
Yeah, that's great insight. Yeah, that founder investor and fit so important is finding the founder or the investors who have experience in your niche and believe in your thesis. So appreciate that insight. And talking, so you have B2C, B2B play. So tell us a little bit about your go-to-market motion with B2C, but then how did that transition to say a B2B go-to-market motion?
I mean, first to start on the consumer business, because that's just an easier way to do it because you don't have to convince the entire team that your solution is great. So it was a very natural thing to move into B2C first. But then, of course, you're getting some interest from B2B and you're like, okay, now I have to build this whole new platform. And so the motion is really interesting because you move into this. We've always had this motion of marketing first and then moving into sales motion. And so now that we're moving to the sales motion, your entire marketing almost changes, your entire sales process kind of changes. Now you don't need a CRM when you have like a consumer business that just buys something once. You just need like a marketing automation just to make sure that everything works and they get the right information at the right time. But now we have a whole CRM implemented for the B2B. So we need to know like, hey, who is like the person that just bought it for the first time? They said that they were 500 people, but they only bought for like 5 people. How do we make sure that we can upsell them all the way to their potential of 500? Some people want to have like a POC to start with like 5 people. How do we know that? How do we track that? It's like all of those things, you kind of still have to define the stages. You have to have a good CRM that automates everything. So we build a lot of automations in the back end in order to know which ones are worthy to sell, which ones worthy are to actually talk to in that sense. Because if you want to do for 2 headshots and talk to a sale, that doesn't make sense. So there's a lot of automation with us happening. And it took some time to build this motion, but the good thing is, I have a lot of background in B2B marketing, so that helped to understand how to build that motion in that sense.
Yeah, interesting. And what CRM software are you using?
So we tried lots. We did HubSpot first because, that's what we were very used to. I'm very used to HubSpot building out the flows, but it can get quite expensive for what it's really what you want in that sense. And we also didn't need it for everybody. We just need it for the B2B segment. And so right now we're in Atio is the CRM that we're using. I just learned that they're from Europe today, which is great. And so we're in Atio and actually it's a really cool CRM for the price point that they're at. It's a really nice tool.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, European based. I think now hearing more of it in the US. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they come in. So yeah, interesting with the B2C, B2B transition and just of course different go-to-market motions with that. And then tell us a little bit about pricing. Tell us a little on the B2C side, and then what happens when they transition B2B.
Yeah. So our pricing when I bought the business was around $15. So $15 to get your headshots done. And if you think about it now on the pricing, we're at 35 to start with. So we did a lot of pricing testing and understanding what the good motion is. We were lucky because we had a CTO who's very technical and good with analytics. And the same thing for us, where our team was very analytical. So we set up Mixpanel from the get-go. We understood like which which ones are taking. If you run an experiment, we understood which package was getting more or less. So we did a lot of pricing experiments in there to kind of understand what's the max price point we can actually push this to. And so now we have a price point, which is $35, $39, and then $79. And so the $79 is the obvious decoy in that sense. It makes the 39 look very cheap. And then the 35 to 39, you're like, might as well just pay $4 extra for, a lot more headshots in that sense. So we've run a lot of experiments with that. And I think nowadays, last time I checked, 75% actually takes the middle package, which is the, obvious package that we want you to take in that sense. And so this is a little bit of the pricing experiments that we did, but the decoy is what really worked. And 35 is basically where we got stuck to like, okay, if we increase it with a little bit more, our sales don't drop. But also like if we increase it to like 39, then we see the drop basically. So we did quite some experiments on that side.
Yeah, pricing psychology, really interesting. And then what about when you get them on the B2B side? Does it go to more of a subscription model, or is it still a per headshot pricing model?
It's still a per headshot model. So it's a $49. It starts at 49 and then it kind of decreases as we buy more. So we incentivize you to, buy a larger package straight from the get-go because you get a bigger discount. And the reason why it's more expensive on the B2B side is because there's certain things that are included into the package, like human editor. You will have a human editor come into each package to make sure that we can at least deliver one really good image to your taste in that sense. So there's a little bit more into the package. And of course, you have a dashboard, you have real-time analytics, you can bulk edit things, you can see everything from your dashboard. You don't have to manually go and fetch images from each other. So there's a lot of differentiation, but we've had some, interesting discussions around like what the pricing package should be and does it make sense to put it more expensive or not in that sense.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. And so you've managed or owned and managed a lot of different businesses, different industries. So with BetterPic, is there a number or metric that you use to guide the business? A favorite number or metric?
We have 9 favorite business metrics. So on a monthly update, we have, sorry, 12 metrics that we update. So of course, the gross revenue, the net revenue compared to last month. Then we have the average order value is something we track as well to kind of understand, like, are we going up market? Are we selling more B2B or not? Then we also have the refund rates, which we track on a monthly basis to kind of understand, is the product living up to the expectations of the user in that sense? Then we also have what we call the process to download rate. So the process means when you are uploading your selfies into the system, you click the button and it says process, and then you basically start generating the images. And then the download is basically, well, I downloaded, so I got a value out of the product because I downloaded the image. So understanding how many people actually process an order versus download the order is something we track on a monthly basis. Well, this is more the aha moment for the users. Then we also have, what else is there? We have the NPS score is a very important one for us. When people leave an NPS score, it's not the craziest metric. We do track it, but not all the people leave an NPS score. So you also have to have some other value metric to kind of mix it out. And that's where the process to download rate comes into. Then we have, of course, the profitability. We care about the profitability because, we were bootstrapped, so we needed to know how much we were actually making or not. We also had the cost of goods percentage. So how much is the cost of goods compared to the actual gross revenue to kind of understand how much are we actually paying to the AI providers, because we needed to know, are we optimizing or not? Nowadays, we're going above the 90%. So that means we're just, we're actually, it's a very interesting margins that we're hitting right now because of a lot of work that we've done. So I can go on that. And of course, the customer success metrics as well. Like how many minutes is it before you get a reply? With us, that's 2 minutes. In 2 minutes, you actually get a human reply. And in 5 minutes, your problem is solved, basically on average. So there's a lot of these value metrics that we optimize for in that sense.
I love that. I guess I should not be surprised. You run different businesses, different industries, that you've got this dialed in, a mix of financial plus operational metrics. And I love that, right? Refund rate, definitely a customer satisfaction thing, but then also that process to download rate also. Maybe they paid, didn't complain, didn't refund, but if they don't download it, yeah, that for you, right? It's not a success.
Yes.
Yeah, as far as product
Exactly.
usage. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And so do you have a headquarters location?
Technically, yes. I mean, we're a team of 22 people right
Okay.
now across BetterPic and also Better Studio, which is the second business unit. So we're about 22 people full remote, but we do have an office in Ghent, Belgium, because one of our investors is also, has that building in that sense. So, and we always wanted to be, we're in what is called the Winter Circus, which is like a circus that they kind of transformed into an office, which is legendary, I would say, in the Belgium space.
Oh, nice. And then anything you want to share around sense of scale, revenue ranges?
Oh, yeah, we're doing about 3 million per year. So last year we were doing about 361K on a yearly basis. This year we're on track to do over 3 million. My goal is 3.6 just because that's a 10x. That sounds cool. But we're now on track to do about 3 million.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And then, Ricardo, really appreciate your time today, sharing your journey. So tell us what's coming up next for BetterPic. And it sounds like, so you've got BetterPic, Better Studio, but what's exciting for the rest of 2025?
Well, which is also the reason why I'm in San Francisco. We're actually this week we're 4 people here. We're doing the diligence to acquire a business out of the States. So if all goes well, we might acquire a business the coming 2 to 3 weeks in that sense. So that would be one exciting thing that I'm looking forward to close, but also start in that sense.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's San Francisco, not to say raise money or talk to investors, but to acquire business. And curious, you don't, of course, have to tell us any details here, but would this enhance existing product lines, say, with the IP, or would this put you into, say, a new vertical or something that you could cross sell?
Same vertical, different audience, I would
Okay.
say. So with Better Studio, we're really markets in that sense. This will be down markets. So different customer segment, different audience, but same technology, you would almost call it.
Okay. Okay. So kind of, it sounds like expanding your total addressable market then. So yeah, well, that's exciting.
Exactly.
Well, you keep me posted if it happens. We'd love to hear, the company and how it goes. So, well, Ricardo, really appreciate your time today, sharing your journey, your experience, really interesting background. If listeners would like to learn more about BetterPic or Better Studio, where should we send them online?
I think the best one is just to follow me on LinkedIn because I post a lot of open metrics. So we're very transparent about our metrics, but also internally, everybody knows each other's salary, equity, everything related to that. So we're quite transparent in, what we share and how we share it.
Okay, perfect. Well, follow Ricardo on LinkedIn. We'll put the company and all the links in the show notes. And so really appreciate you taking time out of the due diligence this week in San Francisco. Thanks for coming on the show, Ricardo.
No worries. Thank you very much.